The price of a bottle of Moutai has dropped from $420 to $252, and few people are willing to buy it. This isn't just a price drop, but a weakening of trust in the brand. For the past decade, Moutai relied on its image as the national liquor and limited supply to elevate the liquor into an investment asset. Distributors hoarded inventory, scalpers manipulated prices, and ordinary consumers couldn't afford it, driving the market into overheating. Now that demand has dwindled, this model is no longer sustainable. Moutai sales seem indeed declining. So far, before the Mid-Autumn Festival, my largest client has only ordered 100 cases for employee tasting. At this time of year in previous years, Feitian Moutai sold 100 to 180 cases daily. This year, I prepared 2,000 cases of Feitian Moutai, 800 cases of Premium Moutai, and several other series, around 200 cases each. The total is about 70 to 80% of last year's level. But as of today, daily Feitian Moutai sales are only 10 to 20 cases. Baijiu sales during this year's National Day and Mid-Autumn Festival were generally mediocre, lacking the usual peak season sales. A price inversion emerged in the market, with retail prices even lower than wholesale prices. Many distributors are forced to sell at low prices to recoup their capital, and consumer purchasing also diverged significantly. It's not that people are avoiding Chinese spirits, but rather they are more focused on spending value. High-end liquor is primarily used for socializing or gifts, while mass-market liquor is used for personal consumption. This Liquor Golden Week saw a noticeable drop in market activity. In previous years, the period around the Mid-Autumn Festival has always been the busiest and highest-selling period for the Baijiu industry. However, this year's situation is markedly different. An agent who has worked in the Moutai distribution system for many years stated that this year's market has been noticeably quiet, with sales significantly different from previous years. In previous years, Moutai sales were extremely brisk around the Mid-Autumn Festival. I often remind everyone in my videos to buy early, as prices tend to rise and stock becomes scarcer the closer it gets to the holiday. In the days leading up to the Mid-Autumn Festival or Spring Festival, customers wouldn't ask about price, only whether there's stock available. But this year, the situation is completely different. Especially since the Mid-Autumn Festival overlaps with National Day, peak buying season ended about 10 days before the holidays, and many people went home early. Overall, this Mid-Autumn Festival is probably the quietest in nearly a decade. People are no longer rushing to buy alcohol and are less willing to give gifts. Many are even refusing to give gifts at all, indicating a significant decline in market demand. This isn't an isolated case. Distributors in many first-tier cities are complaining that this year's Mid-Autumn Festival has been the worst in a decade. In previous years' pre-holiday sales, no one would check the prices. They simply asked if there was stock available. This year, however, is different. Warehouses are overflowing with inventory, and distributors are begging their clients to help to clear their inventory. Moutai's market price has fallen to a very low level this year. Some still believe it might return to the extremely hot levels of 2020 or 2021, but given the current economic environment, such a scenario is highly unlikely. Feitian Moutai's price has now fallen below $252. Many longtime customers are still holding on to Moutai they purchased in the past, such as the Iron Cap version or other special flavors, hoping the price will rise as rapidly as it did back then, from $1,122 to $2,244. However, market realities indicate that those peak days are over. The Moutai salesperson explains that customers used to approach distributors to buy Moutai, requesting specific batches or flavors. Now, the situation is completely reversed, with distributors having to proactively contact customers, hoping they can help purchase inventory, whether for their own consumption or as gifts. The goal is no longer to generate profit, but to maintain cash flow and stay in business. Inventory levels across the entire sales channel are enormous. Industry estimates suggest that approximately 90% of Moutai nationwide is held by distributors and investors, with a very low percentage actually purchased by consumers. Even distilleries themselves face inventory pressures. Due to the declining consumer demand, Moutai prices continue to decline. Even with the Chinese New Year approaching, a market recovery is unlikely. As for why Feitian Moutai's price has plummeted from its previous highs to its current lows, there are many reasons.
现在飞天已经跌破1008了。
The first reason is that Moutai's social appeal has weakened. Feitian Moutai used to be primarily served at high-end business banquets, but due to the unstable economic environment, many occasions have switched to cheaper brands, such as Qinghua Long. Furthermore, the government's prohibition on alcohol has restricted this type of consumption, leading to a significant drop in demand and naturally a price drop. The second reason is its weakening investment value. Feitian Moutai's high price in the past was largely since many people stockpiled it, believing it would appreciate in value. Now that prices have continued to fall and market confidence has waned, no one dares to stockpile in large quantities. The third reason is oversupply in the market. In the past, most people who bought Moutai kept their bottles for long periods of time. Now, seeing the price drop, many are selling their bottles, leading to fierce market competition and further price drops. Moutai's investment value is weakening, and with prices continuing to fall, many holders are choosing to wait and see. If the price falls below $200, it could trigger a chain reaction, resulting in excessive undersell and potential further market collapse. At the same time, young people are turning away from Chinese spirits, or another name, baijiu. This year, sales of products like craft beer, low-alcohol fruit wine, and whiskey have grown by over 30%, while the growth of traditional baijiu like Moutai has slowed significantly. The regular consumer mentality of drinking Moutai to show off is being replaced by a new lifestyle. Furthermore, the Moutai brand is facing aging issues. In recent years, the brand has launched crossover products such as ice cream and co-branded coffee, but these have failed to bridge the gap with young consumers effectively. The entire Chinese baijiu industry has also undergone significant changes, with weak consumption and falling prices becoming the main trends. Data from the second quarter of 2025 shows that both national baijiu sales and prices have fallen by more than 10%. The provinces Henan and Shandong, traditional baijiu consuming provinces, saw declines of 30 and 15% respectively. Wu Liangye's financial report has been sluggish. Another baijiu brand, Erguo To, the sales of its standard production have begun offering discounts and promotions. Data from the China Alcoholic Drinks Association shows that baijiu inventory turnover days has reached 900 days, an increase of 3 months from last year. 60% of distributors' warehouses are overflowing with Chinese liquor priced between $112 and $210. They purchase it at around $210 but can only sell it for $168. Total baijiu production capacity has dropped by roughly 1/3, and the overall economy has also declined by about 50%. This doesn't mean Chinese people are completely quitting drinking. Beer sales are also declining, and the red wine market is similarly weak. Roughly half of imported wineries have closed. The domestic wine industry is also facing difficulties. Last year, the entire industry only made a profit of $30 million, with widespread losses. The Mid-Autumn Festival is over, and how were liquor sales during that period? According to professional statistics, liquor sales during this year's Mid-Autumn Festival fell by approximately 20% year-on-year. From an industry perspective, this data is actually beyond expectations, as it's assumed among peer discussion a 30 to 50% drop or even more. Therefore, a 20% drop during the Mid-Autumn Festival is relatively good, while some believe this figure is overly optimistic and the actual decline may be closer to 40%. Anyway, with the Mid-Autumn Festival over, the market outlook remains concerning. The festival has always been a crucial time for liquor sales, and if sales decline during this period, then what will happen from now on? By the end of the year, the overall market future is likely to be bleak. This is especially true as the industry enters its final quarter in October. Not only will the industry face pressure to collect payments from manufacturers, but it will also face significant cash flow that needs to be liquidated, leaving limited room for market operation. Industry insiders analyze that prices of high-end liquors like Moutai may continue to fall. After the Mid-Autumn Festival, liquor prices generally continue to decline. Amid sluggish sales and limited profits, future sales and profits will face pressure, and the entire industry faces significant challenges in the short term. As a Baiju industry practitioner, I continue to believe in finding opportunities amidst difficulties and focusing on other potential market segments. Industry insiders also point out that the alcoholic beverages business is no longer a viable business. Data shows that over the past 7 years, Chinese Baiju production and sales have continued to decline, with no single year showing positive growth. While the industry may appear vibrant, it's because the fall is starting from a high position. Therefore, their advice is clear: avoid entering the market if you can.
为什么呢？因为我们现在的大小酒厂
Currently, many distilleries, large and small, are facing operational difficulties. This is because these distilleries operate with heavy assets and high daily operational costs, often costing tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars daily. Without orders, they can fully utilize their production capacity, and companies can lose money every day they're open. Some small distilleries are even resorting to price inversion to survive, and some liquor distributors face similar pressures. While some businesses have seen some profits in recent years, the majority of their capital remains invested in liquor inventory. Inventory is now accumulating, the number of customers is declining, operating costs are rising, and profit margins are shrinking. Distributors are also under immense pressure. On the one hand, manufacturers require distributors to purchase inventory and meet sales targets. On the other hand, declining market demand is making operations increasingly difficult. So, why are both the production and sales of Baiju declining? The reasons are both realistic and thought-provoking.
第一点，中国经济和社会的发展模型变了。
First, China's economic and social development model has changed. In the past, people focused on interpersonal relationships and social transactions, and drinking helped to negotiate business and build relationships. But now, the situation is different. People are more concerned with practical benefits. How can the product help? Is the price reasonable? Drinking no longer solves these problems. The social and economic model has changed. Second, previously in China, drinking was often accompanied by obedience tests. For example, at a table, lower-level employees drink according to the instructions of their elders or superiors to show respect and obedience. But now, the younger generation, especially those born after 2000, are no longer willing to accept such obedience tests at the table. They consider practical benefits rather than simply following the drinking instructions of their elders or superiors. In the Chinese officialdom, there used to be a saying that a toast leads to a policy relaxation. But now the situation is completely different. Now a toast leads to the loss of one's position. For example, the director of the County Development and Reform Commission was directly dismissed after a recording of a promise he made over a dinner drinking table was exposed. To protect their own futures, who among the officials would dare take risks at the table? Furthermore, since 2025, various regions have continued to tighten their official alcohol ban, with some provinces even explicitly prohibiting alcohol consumption at all official events, including internal receptions. Just a couple of years ago, the drinking table was the lubricant that kept society running smoothly, a venue for building relationships, negotiating cooperation, and even testing obedience. Now, the new generation no longer accepts this approach. They are more aware of their position and know how to refuse. For young people, drink this one, clever and tactful are just passive compliance. They prefer to maintain their independence rather than become pawns in a system. Furthermore, the main consumers of Baiju used to be middle-aged men between 30 and 50, the backbone of drinking culture, with frequent social engagements, gift-giving, and heavy drinking. However, as they age, their physical strength and alcohol tolerance decline, and naturally they drink less. The younger generation has not adopted this consumption habit. The shrinking market for wedding liquor is also a contributing factor. In the past, weddings were major events in life, and Moutai or Wuliang were often served on the table to show respect. But now, young people aren't getting married, having children, or buying homes, and with fewer friends and gatherings, alcohol consumption is disappearing. Drinking is an extension of socializing, and without it, the Baiju market is naturally affected. These factors have led to a significant decline in Baiju companies' group buying revenue, from 40% to 25%. While companies explain this as consumption structure optimization, the reality is that large customers are no longer buying. Furthermore, the serious problem of Baiju counterfeiting is eroding market trust, increasing consumer vigilance, and putting the entire industry at risk of a structural downturn. A video captured by a netizen exposed the 2 fake bottles of red Shifeng Baiju showing the packaging pried open, and the liquor being swapped or adulterated, raising consumer concerns about market integrity.
你把我一天当憨憨呢？
On the surface, it looked fine, but upon closer inspection, the bottle cap showed signs of being pried open. Even after using 502 glue to seal them together, the caps wouldn't break when you pull them. Upon opening, it's discovered that the wine in both bottles has been consumed, and even inferior liquids has been added to the bottles, indicating that the wine has been swapped or adulterated.
我最害怕的一件事发生了。
My worst fear has come true. Many cases of counterfeit Moutai liquor have been exposed online. For example, to profit, some merchants blend liquor with industrial alcohol, flavorings, and pigments, passing it off as pure grain liquor. To inflate the price, these liquors are given various labels, such as decades-old, commemorative, or high-end VIP reception wines. These Chinese liquors may appear flashy and advertise as pure grain, but in reality, they only sell for tens or hundreds of dollars. In short, these counterfeit liquors falsify the age, ingredients, color, and packaging, but the only true fact is their high price. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.